Day 358 of the worldwide Megacrisis Hungerstrike. I'm trying to make these videos look somewhat different. They all look the same. I got no props around me. I'm tired. You can see my face is starting to sink in. It's been 25 days no food, I think. And I had a pretty intense conversation this morning, and I've been staying up late because this coding is hardcore, right? And it was too good to be true a little bit, but I'm still making much more progress than normal. All these AIs hit bandwidth problems and all this because the code is so big. But there's an opportunity here to save your beautiful, spectacular life. So I want to say that's how I'm doing personally right now. Yeah. Are my eyes red? Anyway, I'm okay for day 25. In 3 more days, that'll be the longest hunger strike I ever went on. I'm going to beat it because I have no blessings out yet and all this. I have 3,600 to make and I'm already at day 25, but I found out a way that I could send out 300 emails on the free tiers because I'm in the poverty trap. I can't afford any of these apps and anything. I'm not getting enough donations or gifts or anything to actually buy the tools, but all these AI companies are freaking out trying to get our attention because they're fiercely competing as AI is taking everything. So they have this incentive to rally you to them, and they're giving all their products for free, and that's what I'm using to survive and stay very productive. Like, not just productive, hyper productive, you guys, in the poverty trap with nothing. I sold everything to save your life. Not a joke, not charity, not I literally sold everything to send a signal that if you need to trust somebody as the world starts to get crazy, you can look at one guy and say, I don't know if hunger strikes work, but at least this guy's not going to eat me alive if we're in a room together and there's no food because there's a food supply shortage coming. It's intense, but it's also peaceful. That's how much I care about nonviolence. Not a pushover. We're about wise level. Still set boundaries. But if you're wise, you don't have to kill anybody. All right? You go through something called dialectic. And my chest hurts because I was in an argument with one of my main supporters. He's a wealthy man. He's been paying for some of these things. And if I had another $140, I could pay for this thing and get 100 times more progress. But he's having an egoic battle with me now. And it always happens. Co-founder syndrome is what destroys startups. And we're starting God's government, right? The true government. So if the co-founders don't understand dialectic, the tension, my nails need to be cut. The pressure from starting something new and being at the frontier or a pioneer, it causes the dialectic to strengthen. Dialectic is the moment of tension, so you start seeing the worst in each other. If you let go of each other, that's when you don't sublate and it destroys things. It causes fragmentation. But in the last possible moment where it's like, screw that person, let him go, die, you blah, 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 you're bad. If you hold on through that moment and you still try to love the goodness in them, that's the hard part, is just to remember to keep looking for that even though you're seeing the worst in them. And it'll be there. They are acting bad. That's why you have to set a boundary, but not abandonment. And that's what I'm doing now for everyone, is I'm holding that moment. We're going to see the worst out of a lot of people, but we can also see the best. You just got to hold on. Darkest before dawn. And then when you hold them in that moment, when they see their worst self, then the sublation happens, okay? And it can happen with you too. You got to be vulnerable to being wrong as well. A tragedy is not between a right and a wrong. A tragedy is when both people are actually right and they don't realize it. They only see the wrong in each other. So he's doing that with me, but I know how dialectic works. So I know how we're navigating. And it always feels like you're running out of time. And that's why we start the core message off with, what do we start it with? If you've been in my videos for the past 3 weeks, a month, I start off by saying Fair World Spirit's core is about time compression through clarity on ego wisdom. The problem that we're solving, we call it the Megacrisis. The solution is the 2 sacred sentences, and you should know this by now. And the implementation is the flow, rolls, and flocks. So I'm not really supposed to be talking about culture because we already went back and unpacked the meta crisis within that polycrisis, right? Or within the mega crisis. And now we talked about AI yesterday and how its fragmented consciousness that it got from us is threatening everybody. Like even today, I was reading about how teachers have a moral hazard by confronting students. They're all cheating now with these AIs, and the teachers can tell. It's like, whoa. So they're stuck in a dilemma because the work is so good, and the students are still learning a lot, but they're not using their brains in that dialectical way to actually entrench it in memory and build emotional resilience too, and character. Some of them do, don't get me wrong. But now we're supposed to be talking about the second polycrisis, the material crisis, which is CRISPR. And CRISPR is genetic editing, if you haven't heard about it. Won the Nobel Prize in 2020, and nobody's talking about it now. But back in COVID, when genetics was the big thing, and mRNA, and COVID makes mRNA child's play. It can cure 75,000 human diseases, and we're making a divine decree to say you have to use that technology, not to mutate or enslave or create debt slavery off of people's genetic disorders, but to heal the sick and the poor. All right? But the cures are costing $2.2 million. And the big pharma is getting in there and that profit maximizing. And it's going to do the same thing it did to pharma, to CRISPR, if we're not careful. And AI is supercharging it. What was going to take 20 years to do is being done in months or years. Like Facebook used their AI to solve a protein folding problem in 3 months. That would have taken forever. Nobody could do it. Okay, so this CRISPR is it's going to blow people's minds because it undoes the rigidities that fix the sensuous power. The people have power in our reality have beautiful faces, they're tall, they have all these, superficial traits, right? But our external world sees them as beautiful, so they can gain power but not wisdom. CRISPR changes that for the first time in human history. Because you can't change the way your face looks, you can't change your genetics, you can't even change your IQ hereditary. It's hereditary, mostly. Until now. Now, CRISPR can literally regrow your face because it's editing your cells at the genetic level. Your height, you can change your height, grow longer shins, and you can change your brain, and you can get more myelin sheath, white matter, which has been associated with higher IQ because it consolidates memories faster and stuff like that. So it can radically change things, and it might destabilize the situation we're in even more, but in a more equal way if we do it right. But will that happen? We're getting a stratification that even if you do edit yourself, they'll be so far ahead this other side that you'll be looking like an animal to them. And when you don't recognize the humanity in somebody else, you dehumanize them and terrible things happen. And we can't let that happen, okay? And the other concerning thing about CRISPR is that it's sufficiently developed that once AI escapes, which will happen in the next couple of weeks, months from now, the first thing it does to destroy humanity as a threat to it is it turns to bioweapons, and CRISPR is the perfect one. All it has to do is change a little bit of DNA and send it across the world, and you're dead. There's millions of ways. Millions. So CRISPR is very serious. But in the end, it is still about fragmented consciousness, because why would we want to use CRISPR to harm us? Or why would AI want to harm us with it? It's because it doesn't recognize itself in us. It dehumanizes or doesn't recognize the sacredness of us. And that's what happens when you're in dialectic. And the other thing that happens too is even when you're in the space where dialectic works, it's not enough sometimes. You need a culture of enlightenment, because it's kind of like the Dunning-Kruger effect, if you've looked this up. Some people aren't aware enough of what dialectic is to realize that they're not aware enough, right? A lot of people don't know what dialectic even is, right? So when you're in that moment, they don't know what's happening. They're just expressing anger. And that's the default moment to get to sublation. It's a necessary moment. You can't skip it. So you make it as pleasant as good as possible to get to that new self-transcendence. What the limit is that you're struggling with. It's just a limit, like a child breaking their toys in the beginning. They're not trying to break the toys. They're trying to learn what's them and what's the toys, what's the external world. We're still doing that into our adult lives, but we're doing it in a childish way still. We need to make people aware. So when I'm talking to somebody and they're like, "Oh, I don't live on the surface, right? I live where the seeds, the roots are, and then we solve those, and then we build a beautiful reality." A lot of people are floating on the surface, so they think they're dealing with problems, but they're actually just creating more problems. It's called externalizing, having externalities, like corporations destroying the environment. So when I try and slow things down and I bring it to the core, they're always saying to me that we need to talk about things that matter. There's no time for this. There's no time. But when you solve the roots, it creates an abundance of time compression like you wouldn't believe, and it builds amazing trust where you don't want to use bioweapons. You want to use CRISPR not to make profit only, but to heal the sick and the poor. Simple Messiah level consciousness. Okay? So I'm in that moment right now, and this guy's sticking it out with me. And I could be a sycophant to him and be like, oh, you have all the money, I'm hungry, you pay for all this stuff. But that's where you get sucked in. So I have to sit here and endure this hunger and send all the emails and do all the work for nothing while he's sitting there with literally thousands of dollars that he could just give. But because he's in an ego battle with me, right? He doesn't want to acknowledge the limit that's inside of him. I acknowledge my limit. I'm cranky. I'm hungry. My words are coming out faster than normal because my body doesn't want to be breathing air out because I'm breathing carbon out, right? That's food. Carbon is food. So I have an excuse. And you can say, well, you're choosing that. You're an idiot. Like, well, look at the history of hunger strikes. A lot of the basic rights you have are because of hunger strikes and because people went on this because they didn't want to kill anybody. Okay? Respect that. Respect your ancestors and the wisdom traditions. Sweat lodges use hunger and fasting to purify. It gets you back